Hi classmates, my name is Lina Maria Quiñones. Today I will present to you via web the Aging Gerontological Services. I will give you a brief history of the elderly social problem, the social problems today, and the work the social workers do for the elderly. I choose to speak about this topic because the social worker I interview works in the building I work in. She has worked there many years and has a vast experience working with the residents of said building. I myself have worked in the organization a little over a couple years and feel extremely close to the elderly, having worked with them as well. Some residents there have taken a special interest in me, asking me about my personal life and giving me advice on how to approach my problem. Their wisdom is priceless, and every time they give me advice, it means a lot to me. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy the following presentation. As in our social work and social welfare book, in chapter 14, mentions the elderly have been mistreated for ages. History has shown the Crow Creek and Hopi Indians built special huts away from the tribe where the old were left to die. The Eskimo left the incapacitated elderly in snowbanks or forced them to paddle away in kayaks. The Serrano of the Bolivian forest simply left them behind when they moved on in search of food. These barbaric activities even happen today. Currently, the IK of Uganda community leaves the older people to starve to death. What do all the following have in common is that they are all tribal societies. Tribal societies abandon the elderly due to scarce resources. As harsh and horrible this seems, do we as a society do better for our elderly? Arguments in the text points to no. We do not make things better for our elderly, since we force them to retire, even if they are still productive. When the elderly retire, they lose his or her status, power, and sometimes self-esteem. Another problem the elderly face is that society is not built for the elderly. Community facilities such as parks, subway, libraries are made to serve the children and young people. Houses are targeted for the young couples with children due to the price and size. Oftentimes, we store the elderly in nursing homes due to the fact that they can't take care of themselves, neither can their families. And lastly, the elderly are facing financial problems. 1 out of 10 of the elderly are poor. In TED Talks, Jared Diamond gives an overview of what problem the elderly are facing. He mentioned it is important for everybody because we all have somebody we know, or it could just be us when we come to that age. He also gives possible solutions to fixing the problem. I strongly urge you to view his TED Talk video, especially if you have an interest in caring for the elderly. He is very informative in this field and is very educated in such discussion. Overall, if you want to become a social worker, I suggest you watch his video in general. The following is the services in which social workers have expertise in the field of gerontology. The one my interviews focus on is social services in nursing homes. The text defines the main objectives as to provide assessment of social needs, health education for older person and family, direct services to the older person, such as counseling to the older person, the family and significant others, advocacy, discharge planning, community liaison, participation in program planning, consultation on developing therapeutic environment in the facility, and participation in developing care plans that maximize the older person's potential for independence. I interviewed Kelly Geller, a social service manager. She works at Lakeside Village. She has achieved a bachelor's in psychology with a minor in social work at Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts in 1998. The interview was done in March 29, 2015. Out of the many people I contacted, she was the most willing to help. She was very excited to be part of the interview. Throughout the interview, I could see the passion she has for her job. She told me, one does not get into this field for the money. This job takes a lot of dedication as well as patience. She said patience is the key to success in this field. She said that many people are not willing to budge, no matter what age people you are working with. Normally, the people she is working with already have real problems and are not taking her seriously. It takes a whole lot for a person to crack, she says. But when they do, the progress the client shows is worth the hard work she puts in. The target group is the elderly, specifically 65 and up. Clients are determined for admission for rehabilitation and/or long-term placement by a review of documentation from hospitals, information from another facility, or resident's primary care physician. Information is then reviewed by the DON for an appropriate admission if the client's needs are able to be met in our facility. In most cases, there is no problem, and are pre-approved to enter our facilities without a problem. Very rarely do we normally turn away a potential resident, as they already have plans of moving in. Basically, there is a channel of people that need to look over the patient and decide the appropriate location to place them. This process does not consume much time, as there are people who take care of situations as these, and everything tends to work out for the best for the future resident. Kelly Geller will usually introduce herself upon admission or the next day so as client is aware of contact if they have questions. Initial 5-day assessment will be completed usually by the 8th day of stay, with a look-back period of 7 days of documentation by nursing, dietary, and doctor's progress notes. In the 5-day assessment, Kelly Geller is testing residents' cognitive abilities, checking for signs and symptoms of depression, and behavioral status. Plan of care is then generated into care plans, addressing specific needs of the residents that needs to be monitored. There are many reasons why residents get hospitalized. To elaborate on a common one would be a resident falling in their home and dislocating a hip. This is a typical injury as they tend to happen all the time. Said resident is then admitted to rehabilitation for a course that rounds off to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how severe the injury is. In their age, all injuries are serious, but some patients do heal faster than others. Kelly Geller monitors residents' cognitive abilities, mood state, behavioral status, and working safe, appropriate discharge plan depending on residents' physical and cognitive abilities. Many times they will want to go home and say they feel fine. Geller would simply have to deny their request as they do not know how fragile their health is in their current state. A challenging case would be if a patient fell at home and dislocate his or her hip. However, resident is confused, lived alone, has no family, and is a behavioral concern. There would be minimal ways to help such people, and I will be up to the challenge, Geller said. Geller measures her success by the way the resident is responding. She knows she has done a successful job when her client shows physical and cognitive improvement. She is very proud of her success rate. Geller states the most challenging part of her job is balancing her work life and personal life. She recalls many times where both of these worlds interfere with the other and wreak havoc in the other. She says she has to keep a positive outlook when this tends to happen and remind herself she will get through it. She is constantly telling herself to not take this to heart, as she truly loves her job and what she does. In contrast, the easiest part of Geller's job is conversing with the residents. As well as it being the easiest, it is also one of her favorite parts of her job. She loves hearing their stories about when they were her age and etc. The funding sources for V are Medicare, Medicaid, insurance, and private pay. Geller mentions it is a joy working for V because they truly care about their employees. The employees are given appreciation days no matter what job they do, from custodial work to managerial work. V also provides many benefits such as health insurance, a bonus based on budget, paid vacations, and grants for school. Geller says V mentions their success by the profit made that year if she had remained under budget and if the facility is at high census. Geller's final thoughts about V is that it has high standards for employees that have integrity, compassion, and excellence in providing the best care for the clients. Geller states that is the best thing V does. I do work for this organization as a server. I would definitely love to work with V as a social worker. Especially through the interview process, I saw how passionate Kelly Geller is about her job. I even see day-to-day interaction she has with residents and coworkers, and admire at the way she is able to talk with ease. She is a very approachable lady, yet very professional in her work. I want to adopt Kelly Geller's work ethics and be able to have her success rate. I also found the work very interesting. I always had a liking for the residents. Loved to communicate to them before, during, and after my shift. I would always try to find time to see how residents are doing. For somebody to get paid to do that sounds like my type of field. I would do well in communicating with this age group, even though there is an age gap. I have a strong understanding on what the residents need. I believe that they need somebody to talk to and somebody to advocate for them. Oftentimes, I notice that people neglect the elderly, whether it be from families to nurses or just society. They need somebody to listen. The most difficulty I would have in this field is seeing a resident's mind decrease and have no memory of who their loved ones are.